I've never thought too much about my creativity because I guess it's always been there. I was a very creative child. I didn't fit into the standard mould, but quite content.
In this episode, I talked to Kanj, an artist who has worked in a range of mediums, but whose work is always bright and vibrant. We talk about how her art has changed through different stages in her life, starting with what she was like as a child.
My happiest times were hanging out with the naughty ones and planning and plotting. Lots of trouble, really.
Okay.
Very innocent, mischievous things we used to get up to. But my creativity set me apart from the rest because that was who I was. So the creativity was always there. The one thing my mum did do was to send me to art classes as a child. Okay. I had to find my own way because mum worked. She was a full-time teacher, so she wasn't there to ferry me around. And I remember I had to catch 3 buses to get there and come back quite late at night. Didn't bother me. It was just the desire to do what I wanted to do.
So it really was there at a young age?
At a very young age. I did this journey and I never thought about the dangers. Looking at it from my mother's perspective, she must have been worried and so anxious, but there was nothing she could do about it. So I went, 3 buses, got there, got back home, and that was my foundation, my early foundations of having a place to go and just paint. But the next stage from my childhood was having a solid foundation in my degree, which I had to go to Australia to get. Okay. Because there was nothing creative in Sri Lanka at that point. So Mum made a lot of financial sacrifices. So she made it possible for me to go to Australia, and I did my degree in textile design, which looking back was what made me today, because no one can take that away from you once it's there. So that then takes me into adulthood. Mm-hmm. Although I had that wonderful training, I did put down my tools for when I had my 2 children. Up to that point, I was working, but still as a freelance artist making ceramics. I set up a little business. I was supported by the Princess Youth Trust to set it up in Stoke-on-Trent, and I did that for 6 years.
Okay. I didn't know you'd done ceramics.
That's a big part of me. So after my time in Stoke, I had my children. It was the right choice for me because I was able to be there for my kids. And that's part of life. So today I'm here in my 50s, late 50s, approaching a new decade. And my perspective has changed, So after my kids were older, my daughter was in her teens. That's when I guess I began to feel a stirring in me for something more. I needed to make changes to the way I was thinking, to the way I was doing stuff. And in the end, I decided, okay, one year, I think it was 2015, I'm just going to start rediscovering the Kanj, who was the artist, who is still there, but getting
hidden underneath.
Buried in everyone else's, underneath everyone else's needs. And I think that year I started with felting, which is weird because I'd never done felting before.
That was the first thing that I saw of your work.
That was the first thing I actually actively started working with as a medium. Not my paints, which I would have thought that would have been the natural thing to go to, but it wasn't. I had my first solo exhibition at the Asylum Gallery, and it was all felted artworks. Yeah. And I think I felted for a number of years after that. I was Kanj, the felting person in Wolverhampton. I don't think there were any others at that point. There probably are now, and I immersed myself in it. Mm-hmm. As time sort of rolled on, I sort of went back to my paints. But there again, it had been so long that I wasn't feeling confident about using what used to be a natural go-to in terms of expressing myself. So it took a little bit of courage, I think, to, the confidence levels were pretty shaky at that point with regards to get back into my painting. And I played. I didn't sort of show half of the stuff I did. I just played.
Sometimes we just need to play without feeling like self-conscious about showing work, I think.
Yeah, so it's the not showing work that released me to just play. It was my playtime.
So are there things that particularly inspire you to create?
Nature, I guess, has always been I love nature. I love being outside. I love growing plants, feeling the earth. So that's always been a constant. Okay. That has been a source. That's still my source. But on top of that, I'm now painting stories of my roots, where I am today, people, communities, interactions, and that's coming in more and more.
And your work is always very vibrant, very bright colours. I think everything I've seen of yours is bright.
That's probably my childhood. I mean, I wasn't born here. I was born in Sri Lanka, and that's a very tropical, vibrant, intoxicating sort of place. Very different to Britain. The colours, the foliage. Mum was a gardener, and that heavily influenced me, and I can see I'm turning into her now. So that's my roots. My roots, my culture. You know, a good part of my life was in Sri Lanka. Then I scooted off to Australia for a little while. Then I've come to Britain. I've settled here. I can't say that one is home and the other isn't. I really cannot, because I think I do belong in both places. I've made Wolverhampton my home. This is where I belong. It's what I call home. Equally, the minute I land on Sri Lankan soil, everything about it brings back to me that this is where I belong as well. The difference, I think, the one significant difference is that I've made Wolverhampton my home. So my life, I've been in Wolverhampton for 25 years. Talking about Wolverhampton, I'm rooted here because my community...
So I was going to ask you, you mentioned about having a community here.
Yeah,
that's
you form a community. The longer you live in a place, you form a community, and that's become who I am. I enjoy the company of other creatives. I enjoy not being serious. You know, I'm not very serious in that sense. I like having a laugh and being silly while working and enjoying a good joke. And that is who I am.
And the Asylum Gallery, that was where you had your first exhibition in Wolverhampton.
Yes. They gave me that first leg up.
You had some work in the art gallery
recently. Last year. Was it last year? No, 2024. Is when I published the book and had the exhibition at the art gallery. 2025 was last year. So I haven't done a lot last year, and that was linked to losing my mum. That massively impacted my creativity. It's like it just shut down, and I realized that was grief. We process it differently, and I had an amazing bond with my mother. So did my sister, and that sort of love takes time. I still carry it. It's still there. I'm still working through it. However, I'm in a better place. And I do feel my creativity is now coming into a season of new growth.
Yeah, evolving into something new, a next stage.
The next stage. My next stage is unfolding. I feel that even though it's been like quiet, I've been very busy with teaching and working on projects. So it's not that I'm not doing anything. I'm talking of me practicing my creativity. That was missing. That's been missing for a year now, a bit more than a year. But it doesn't mean that there's nothing happening underneath. You know, the roots
there's always things
are still growing.
Fermenting under the surface.
Things still are fermenting. This is where I am now.
Sounds like a good place to be.
It's a good place. I'll be 60 next year, and it's a good place. I don't need to be frantic anymore. I'm not that young artist I used to be. I don't want to be. I'm in a season where I want to enjoy my creativity and do more of it.
And I was just going to end by saying, is there anything that you're working on or you're planning to start working on that you want to mention?
There is. Because like I said, I feel like I've been in hibernation and I'm emerging from it. So there's something new happening. And it's linked to my grief. It's linked to my memories of my mother and my sister and my roots, so it's coming out.
Okay.
Because I think it's going to be a healing process. It's for my children as well. You know, they will have these stories. This is more to do with my childhood, my mother and my sister and me and our memories, because she was our world, my mother. She brought us up pretty much single-handedly. And for me, this season of creativity is going to be a healing process of honouring her, remembering how she gave so much to us. Her stories, our stories, the cooking, the recipes, all of it is going to come out in different ways. I'm not sure exactly how, but certainly it's...
That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it, because that's what I said right at the beginning. I'm approaching a gentle season, and this is the beginning of that, where the busyness is going to be gently, quietly trimmed, so that I'm ready to just enjoy being the kind of artist I'd like to be in the next decade.
Thank you to Kanj for a wonderful and thoughtful conversation and for sharing some of her life experiences. I can't wait to see what comes next. If you're not familiar with her work, definitely check out her social media in the description below and take a look at her book, Imagine If We Could Fly. I look forward to coming back for the next episode where I talk to another person doing something creative in the city.